Can you get at the psychological dynamics
Well,
of how that works? Faith working through love?
Yeah, let's actually, let's spend time on that. That's very important. So what I'm about to tell you, I don't believe gets to the bottom of it. But some years ago, I remember talking to a woman who wasn't a believer yet. This is only one part of the answer. She wasn't a believer yet, but she was just coming to grips with the idea I'm saved by grace and faith, not by my works. And she said, I used to go to church years ago, and when I came up in that church, I never heard that you were saved by grace and faith. I always heard you were saved by being a good person. She says, why haven't I heard this? Why don't more churches teach it? And fortunately, by some wonderful providence, most ministers, obviously we media, we're so happy to have a question because we can hold forth. But for some reason I said, well, why do you think? And she says, well, this is scary. I said, what? And he says, if you're saved by works, there's a limit to what God can ask of you. You're like a taxpayer. You've paid your taxes, you paid your dues, and he could ask certain things of you, but not anything. But he said, if I'm really saved by grace because of what Jesus has done, there's no limit to what he could ask of me. And my obedience would have to be unconditional. And I looked at her and I said, you realize that most people, when they first hear that you're saved by grace alone and not by works, think, well, this is great. That means I can live any way I want. Mm-hmm. But see, for her, she was already, by the way, she probably was saved at that point. I look back. I think she just hadn't professed the faith yet because she understood the gospel so well. And she said, psychologically, if you realize that you've been saved by grace, it means I owe him everything. Which, of course, you're not your own, you're bought with a price. And see, that's one psychological thing that has to happen. Yeah. You're looking at your justification, you're looking at your free justification and costly to God, okay? And immediately says, I don't have the right to make these calls. I've got to do what the Lord says. I mean, that's one. And it's motivated by joy. It's not like, oh, I got to obey.
Okay.